enter a commitment in Sage, also known as Timberline, go to TS main, PJ for project management, click here, the PJ module will open, go to contract control, commitments. You will assign a commitment number. Typically that number will be the job number, for example 140170. Our job numbers, as indicated in a previous training, start with the year. This would be 2014 plus the chronological number of job that has been issued. So in this case, this is the 170th job of 2014. And then there's a dash, and then the cost code associated with this commitment. Typically, we have the 16 cost codes. Let's say that this is the 15th, the cost code 15. Actually, let's do 09 for things like drywall. And then we will do another dash, and then 01. So this takes up all of the data entry. All of the possible data is entered, and you have to enter the dashes. And the 01 is just the first contract that I'm issuing under the 09 cost code. If this was the fourth, then this number would be 04. Tab, enter a description. I'm making a very simple description. You can be more descriptive. Tab over, F4 for your vendor. And if your vendor does not show up here, then you need to make a request with accounting, and they will add the vendor, and they will pre-qualify them. But typically the estimating department has already done this and made the request, and we've set them up. And so I have one in mind. Drywall contracting, and then tab to type. We have two types of commitments, subcontract and purchase order. 99% of the time we issue subcontracts with all the attached exhibits. That is a separate training. On occasion we do have purchase orders. That is a case-by-case situation that you need to run by management. We do have some standards and they change, typically based on the contract size as well as the type of work. For example, materials would be a purchase order because they don't really need to have a 15-page subcontract. And we are typically subject to their terms, not ours. And there are a few other occasions where purchase orders are appropriate. But again, a vast majority of the time are subcontracts. Tab over to the date. Release to accounting. Click this when you're ready. You may just enter this stuff for now and then save it and not release yet. Tab over here to 10% is your typical retainage. This can be negotiated on a case-by-case basis, but typically it's 10%. Final compliance, I would leave this unchecked. This is a unique situation for a separate training. Again, the release to accounting is after you've saved this and you're ready for it to be released. In job, hit F4, find your job. In this case, it again is consistent with the first 6 digits. So let me find this job, 0170, 140170, enter, hit F4 for your cost code. If your cost code is not here, that means that your cost estimate probably is not here. So this first F4 screen, which lists the cost codes that have some sort of entry associated with it already. If it's not here, you can always go to View, Standard Cost Codes, and view all cost codes, and you will definitely be able to find the cost code that you want. In this case, 09250. Again, if on the first F4 list screen, if your cost code isn't there, that probably means that maybe an estimate hasn't been entered yet, which is a warning sign for you to say, hey, maybe I'm assigning this commitment to the wrong cost code. I want to know what the estimating department has assigned for this commitment. So in this case of 09250, under category, hit F4 again. You should only have subcontract as an option. And then enter the amount. So I'm going to enter $100,000 or $1 million. Oops. Let's do $100,000. And in this instance, we see that a cost estimate has been entered, which is good. And my commitment that I'm about to enter is over the estimate. This is a good warning sign, and it lets you know that, hey, are you sure you entered the right amount? In this instance, let's say we did. Let's say our estimate was $96,000, and oh my goodness, we find out that the subcontractor will only do this for $100,000. We have a budget bust. That's okay. You just need to run this by your project manager to make sure that this is okay. Hit yes, and this variance will show up on other reports. So I'm going to hit yes. Sometimes it's less, which would be a buyout savings, and that's a good variance. In this case, we're going over. Again, that's for a separate day as far as reporting. And so the description automatically comes up, and so we're basically done. You do have some things over here, inclusions, exclusions, in particular. If I click that, you can add things where you want to include or exclude. Typically, we just say, see Exhibit D, for example, where we might include all of our scope. Now, in a separate training about subcontracts, you will see which exhibits we use. This is generating just the first page of our subcontract where we can reference all this important information. Scope, again, you can say see exhibit, whatever you want to see. Again, we have some outlines as to what exhibits there are. Those are the two important things where you could add information and detail. You can add some stuff here. All this other stuff is for other people to enter, such as insurance. That is for our legal department. Other info. This is useful. We do not, for tracking information and where the subcontract is in the flow of information. This other stuff we're not using yet. So I'm going to say no to this. And so then you just hit Save Commitment. And after you hit Save Commitment, there will be another screen that says Finish. You'll hit Finish. Typically, we will click Print to File and select the PDF version for your printer, and then you can save a copy of this commitment that way. I'm not going to save this because this project manager would not be happy about me entering a commitment that doesn't exist. We don't use transmittals through this system, although we could, and maybe we will in the future. Do not enter close commitment. This actually closes the commitment such that it will not link to any of the other modules, such as accounts payable. You could enter cancel commitment, which is what I'm going to do, which is cancels my entries. So again, the idea here is that this commitment will now be linked to all of our other modules and show up on all of our reports. So I'm going to hit cancel commitment here for now. And again, if I had saved it, there would be an option here to finish, and we would finish and save to file PDF version. The next step for you is to print this subcontract. And over here we have SLC custom forms. You could print the subcontract to the subcontract section here, and you could enter subcontract form and print it that way, but we have some specific information that we've added, such as our license number, things that are required by law. You'll see SLC purchase order, if you did a purchase order, SLC subcontract, SLC change order. These are all things that the change order is a different training. SLCC subcontract. So the subcontract that we entered you can come here and print it from here or here. It will not show up if you try to do this. It will not show up if you try to do there. SLCC is simply the format for our Nevada operations. So if you're doing work out there, you would need to do this subcontract. So in this instance, let's do SLC subcontract. You'll enter the subcontract number or commitment number. I will enter one that I believe exists here. Let's try 130143-15-01. Second signer is for contracts over 25,000. It requires 2 signers. I will put my name here. It may not always be me. It has to be an executive of the company, either the qualifier or the president, CFO, or secretary, 3 authorized officers. My name. Let's see what shows up. And sure enough, this commitment is here with all the information. There's my name. This language is in the custom form where it's not in the other form. Our license number is up here, which isn't in the other form. And so this is the form that we want. This information automatically comes up. You can actually add a person's name in the PJ module. This language shows up on this custom form, which is that 10% retainage will be held. Here's the inclusions. We reference exhibits. Under the scope of work, they added specific information. And so this is a pretty well done subcontract here. And then again, for here, you could, to print this, you can go to print and select the Adobe PDF, and it will create a PDF for you. And that's all you need to know for now for issuing a subcontract.